they talking real loud. Spreading no lie, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Rock and get us swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading no lie, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets...
It's the one and only Queen of Receipts, the dropping gems in this YouTube street. The lawyer Royce, nowhere to go. Tune in for the infamous morning show, giving the news that you need to know. So don't you dare miss a wake-up call. Then in the evening, I got all for y'all. Get your dose of daily vitamins. You know the Queen makes it make sense. So true.
All right, hello everyone, Grand Rising. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, so let's get ready to get black into it. All right, so let me shout out Yvette. Vince, I am from the UK. Muhammad is here. All right, let's get into it. Miss A Prayers, or Miss AP Prayers. Sheila is here. Claudette, Love Christy. All right. The Baba of Truth. Shout out to the elder in the chat. All right, Pearly is here. Albie Chill. Above all that drama. Okay, let's get into it. Emperor Rex, Ladybug, Andrea. Everybody hit that like button. Let's get into it. I'm going to share I'm going to have a brief word from my sponsor. Then we're going to get into it because we got to look at some more of this footage from when Bondi was getting grilled. Okay, it's so obvious that she is still covering up for Trump, basically lying and violating the law. And, you know, the sad thing is nothing's going to be done about it. Okay, so please pay attention.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
All right, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes Hair Oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts, and you can also find it at Walmart.com. She also sells beard oil. Okay, so now with that all being said, let's get into it. Before we get into Bondi and how she was put in the hot seat, we looked at some of it last night, the exchange between her and Massey and Jasmine Crockett, okay, and a couple of other people. But now let's go to this document that was in the Epstein files, dated May the 26th of 2023. And this one pertains to Leon Black. Now, you all may remember that on yesterday, I told you about Life Touch, the company that took pictures of all of us when we were in school, and how Leon Black was affiliated with them. Now, here's what it says, and I know this is small writing, so you won't be able to see it, but here's what it says. Leon Black, Wall Street person, 72 or 71, founded largest private equity global fund that exists today, that's publicly traded. One of Epstein's friends, very powerful. Okay, that's the description they gave of him. They say 7 to 8 years. Black was sexually violent with her. So this is what they're saying that he did to a 7 or 8-year-old child. Okay, that he was sexually violent with her. Black bites parts of her, vajayjay. Okay, violence was arousing for him. Oh, really? These people are sick. I want you all to pay attention. They said the violence was arousing for him, very painful for her. Now, JC represented the victim for civil defamation case, not for the sex abuse case. Went to USAO in Manhattan, May or June of 2021. JC doesn't represent her anymore. So got a call for victim woman who said that she heard about the lawsuit against Black. Victim said Black raped her around 20 years ago, 2001 or 2002, in Epstein's townhouse. Now, victim described it, felt pain like insertion of something sharp into her lower region, and y'all know where I'm talking about, her privates. Now, this was on the massage table with head on the floor and legs on his shoulders. It was excruciating. Spoke with Blank at Manhattan DA's office, substance abuse problems in 1990s, preyed on by Epstein, gave massages to Epstein and Black for money, lives in Blank now, abused in New York. Minor victim at Epstein's townhouse and was to give Leon Black a massage, violently raped by Black, 16 years old when raped by Black. Then there's a bunch of redactions. And then it says biological mother is Blank and biological father is Blank, both alive. Blank has lived with them since 2012 when attending Blank, where Blank was counselor in charge of students with Blank. Black used adult sex toys in victim's back door and the front door. Okay. Victim felt severe pinching in her private and began bleeding from the back door. Black and others at Epstein's house would not take her to the doctor and instead flew her out of New York the next day. Victim did not go back to New York after that. Next few years was in Palm Beach or U.S. Virgin Islands. That sounds all so egregious, and I wanted to read that to you because, as Pam Bondi was, as she was sitting there being asked all of these questions that she refused to answer, she spent most of the time gaslighting, deflecting, and being combative. And some of the victims were sitting right behind her. She feigned sympathy for them, but she has none. If she did, she would not be still sitting here lying, and she would answer the questions that are asked of her. This woman is blatantly covering up, okay, right in our faces. And like I said, the sad thing is nothing is going to be done. Now, with that all being said, let's go to the exchange between when they asked her, let's go to where they asked her, is Trump honest? And how you know that he isn't? Well, because first of all, we've all heard his lies. But if he were honest, she could just say yes from the get-go instead of what she does. Okay, let's get into it.
The good gentleman yields back. We turn to the good lady from California, Congresswoman Kamlager Dove.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Attorney General, for being here today. I want to talk with you about an issue on which there is broad bipartisan agreement: the importance of ensuring trust between the American public and those government officials who wield powerful law enforcement responsibilities. So, Attorney General, would you agree that it is important for law enforcement leaders to be honest?
Of course, as well as members of Congress.
Thank you. And would you include yourself as a law enforcement leader?
Of course.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. You know, President Trump has also, he has referred to himself as the chief law enforcement officer of this country. So do you believe that President Trump is honest?
He is the commander-in-chief of the United States of America. And not only is he keeping this country safe, he is keeping this world safe.
It's a simple question, which you didn't answer.
He is the commander-in-chief.
Last June, Minnesota lawmaker Melissa Hortman, her husband Mark, and their dog were brutally murdered in their home. And your USA's office in Minnesota investigated this crime and obtained a 6-count indictment of the murder suspect, stating that he had intent to kill, injury, harass, and intimidate Minnesota legislators. And I have the copy right here. I read through it. Yet a few weeks ago, President Trump suggested publicly that Minnesota Governor Tim Walz was behind these murders, posting on his Truth Social account a video raising this conspiracy theory. And it wasn't true. And you know it wasn't true, or else you would not have brought an indictment against the subject. Do you know what else Trump has said? He has said he has cut gas prices by 1,400%. False. That he won the 2020 election.
Actually, gas is down to $1.99 a gallon, thanks to President
That he didn't
Trump.
know Epstein.
Maybe $5 in California.
It's my time, Mr. Chair. That he sent water to LA during the wildfires. False. That Governor Westmore of Maryland called him the greatest president of his lifetime. False. So many tales, too many to keep up. But I want to go back to what he said about Tim Walz. Do you agree that President Trump undermined public trust in law enforcement by suggesting that Governor Walz was involved in the Hortman murders?
I am not familiar with that statement.
Well, that is a disappointing response. And it is also why your office and Donald Trump have zero credibility. Because I know, and you know, it was a right-wing extremist who murdered the Hortmans. And you and the president are being dishonest with the American people. Last fall, after the horrific shooting of Charlie Kirk, President Trump was asked if there were extremists on both the left and the right. And his exact words were, "I'll tell you something that's going to get me in trouble, but I couldn't care less. The radicals on the right oftentimes are radical because they don't want to see crime. The radicals on the left are the problem, and they're vicious, and they're horrible, and they're politically savvy." Do you agree with this statement? You're taking too long, Madam Attorney General, but you know the answer because your own department has addressed the question. In 24, the DOJ's research arm issued a report on domestic terrorism, stating that the number of far-right attacks continues to outpace all other types of terrorism and domestic violence extremists. The DOJ published the report, and after the president made those comments, the DOJ took the report down. And I sent you a letter asking you a simple question. Why did the Justice Department remove the data that shows right-wing extremists have killed more innocent people than left-wing extremists?
Did you refer to immigration enforcement as domestic terrorism?
You should answer my
answer is
question.
yes.
You're on my time, but you won't. And what I am asking you to do is put the report back, restore the data. Stop scrubbing important data from your website. Stop taking down reports that you know the American people need to know about. There are violent, dangerous people out here with real threats. And the dishonesty from your agency comes from the covering up of these threats that could hurt American people and put our lives at rest. Do better. And with that,
that woman will not answer any questions. Okay. And she is so very smug and arrogant. I absolutely deplore her. All right. And, you know, I don't understand why they don't just go ahead and impeach her. That's what they need to do. They need to impeach her. Now, here's another one where she's talking to Representative Joe Neguse, and he exposes her corruption. Okay, let's get into it.
Chairman, here. Attorney General Bondi, 6 days ago, you posted online, quote, "If you come for law enforcement, the Trump administration will come for you," end quote. I want to show you just a brief video. It's about 30 seconds, and I'll ask you a couple questions about it.
You guys are disgusting, man. Hey, you guys are disgusting. I'm former law enforcement. You're disgusting. You are the Nazi. You are the Gestapo. You can't see it because you're chasing your pension, right? Pension. Your retirement, right? That's what runs your life, your retirement. The sad thing is they're not even going to get their pension because it's going to be worthless. And shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you.
Attorney General Bondi, that man works for you now, right?
Who was that, Congressman?
The man in that video, the one who was in the police-worn body cam footage, the one allegedly yelling, "Kill him," at police officers on January 6th, his name is Jared Wise.
He does work for us.
He works for you at the Department of Justice.
He does.
This is an individual whom a federal grand jury indicted for 2 felonies and 4 misdemeanors related to his participation in the attack on January 6th. One of those.
Now, I want you all to pay attention to this because this just shows how incompetent and how corrupt these people are. They hired someone who was a convicted felon. Of course, he was pardoned by Trump, but nonetheless, for being a whole insurrectionist and a domestic terrorist, because that's what those January 6th rioters absolutely are. But now he works for the Justice Department. He works for the Justice Department. I want you all to think about that. These are the types of people they have working in government positions. Whole thugs, domestic terrorists.
Charges was forcibly assaulting, resisting, opposing, impeding, intimidating, and interfering with police with the intent to commit another felony. This is who you choose as the chief law enforcement officer of the United States of America to hire at the Department of Justice. Someone on video yelling, "Kill him," at police officers, right?
I believe he was pardoned by President Trump.
Oh, he was pardoned. You're right. You're right. Pardoned by President Trump for his offense. Pardoned for yelling, "Kill him," at police officers. And yet you expect hardworking police officers across the country to believe that you take law enforcement seriously. You could imagine the reaction of so many folks across the country hearing the chief law enforcement officer of the United States refuse to even condemn what that individual whom you've now hired did. But in any event, let's talk a little bit about some of the other divisions within the Department of Justice and what's happened over the last year. You're familiar with the public integrity section of the DOJ's criminal division. I think it's referred to as PIN. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know which presidential administration under which the PIN was first created?
I can tell you what administration that the weaponization was ended under.
I'll reclaim my time. This wasn't a trick question.
You don't get to
Madam Attorney
reclaim
General.
your time.
Madam Attorney General.
Because I don't like it.
Mr. Chairman,
I
will
don't
you explain to
answer
the
a
witness that
question the way
he
you like
does
it.
reclaim his time?
Because I don't answer a question to your satisfaction.
Mr. Chairman.
Madam Attorney General, the time belongs to the gentleman from Colorado.
The president under which PIN was created was Gerald Ford. It was created after Watergate. I'm not asking a question, Madam Attorney General. The administration under which it was created was Gerald Ford. When you first started as the Attorney General of the United States, there were 35 people working in that office. There are now 2 people working in that office because you have gutted it. How many people work for the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team in the criminal division today?
Can I answer the question about PIN?
I've asked you a question. How many
You've
people
asked me a
work?
question, but you don't
How
want
many
the answer.
people work
I'm not
for the
gonna answer your
National
questions the way you
Cryptocurrency
want.
Enforcement Team? You won't answer how many
I'll
people?
answer PIN.
You.
PIN will not be
you know what?
weaponized.
You know what?
What's
Madam
funny
Attorney
about
General,
this?
I'll say to the chairman.
What's funny about this?
Chairman, you know what the answer is? And I think I
What's
understand why
funny
the
about
Attorney General
this?
does not want to answer the question. Because you eliminated the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team last year. So I understand why you don't want to tell the American people who works there.
Yeah, I
No one
understand
works
why
there
you don't want to
anymore,
talk about
Madam
Mohammed
Attorney
Solomon
General.
in
So
your district.
in any event,
who
I would
murdered people.
Mr. Chairman, will you stop the clock so his time is not wasted by
I've
the
been
witness?
very generous with allowing extra time when we have these little disputes.
I understand.
You got the time, Mr. Goose.
I might as well ask the chairman these questions.
I'd be happy
because
to answer
what
some
is
of your
fun-
questions.
What's profound, the questions I've
Profound?
asked,
The crime in
questions
your
I've
district.
asked, Mr. Chairman, are not trick questions. They're not gotcha questions. They're actually basic questions about how the Department of Justice functions and the unwillingness of this Attorney General to answer them in good faith. When a member of Congress asks how many people work at the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team and the Attorney General refuses to answer it, it is not a coincidence. It's because she eliminated the team. Why? Because her boss, the President of the United States, is making money hand over fist, $1.4 billion over the course of the last year through cryptocurrency holdings. I think what is happening at the Department of Justice is a disgrace, Mr. Chairman, and I would urge you to gain control of this hearing. With that, I yield back the balance of my time.
Yeah. I would ask the gentleman, does he agree with the standing up of the Deputy Attorney General for dealing with fraud? That's something that's happened in this administration. First time. You talked about PIN. That happened with this Justice Department.
We're talking about this committee.
Mr. Chairman, had you answered the question, had the Attorney General answered the question in that way, perhaps this hearing would have some modicum of resembling something that has typically been fairly conventional, an oversight hearing of the Department of Justice.
The gentleman's
That is
time
not
has expired. The gentlelady from.
Okay, so before we go to the next clip where Representative Lou flat out accuses Bondi of lying, which I'm so sure she is, I want to go to this news clip from Newsmax, where Representative Boebert reveals what's unredacted files show. And she's going to talk about these code words that I told you all about days ago. And the reason I'm going to this in between is because I want you all to just remember everything that's in those files that this devil of a woman is covering up. Okay, these are things that happened that she is absolutely covering up, refusing to answer. Okay, just being very combative. She doesn't care about these victims at all. Now, you just heard previously what Leon Black did to a 7 or 8-year-old victim.
This seems that it wasn't only the trafficking of young girls, as the narrative suggests, but there are code words that suggest Jeffrey Epstein and his associates could maybe even be engaging in some sort of consumption. Is that human consumption? Are there code words? There's a lot of talk of beef jerky. There's a restaurant called The Cannibal where the owner is listed in some of these documents. Now, that isn't a restaurant that is just proclaiming to serve human meat by any means. But some of this just, it seems that there's a lot of conspiracies that make you wonder. And I saw more emails about torture, and these coded conversations still have a very clear topic, that torture was big. It was a big driver for them. And these were sick people doing very, very sick things. As you mentioned, there are many women who are involved in this. You have folks that were working directly for Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Right. And a lot of these women are the ones that are sending emails saying, here's one 10 years old, 11 years old, 9 years old. And it's just very disturbing to see the women who are involved in this as well.
It is very disturbing to see. Now, with that all being said, let's go to what Mr. Liu had to say.
Thank you, Attorney General Bondi, for being here today. I'm going to show you two photos.
Thank you.
I'm going to show you two photos of former Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein. Under the law Congress passed, you were allowed to redact photos to protect the victims of Epstein's sex trafficking operation. You redacted the photos of this victim's face because you were following the congressional law. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, that we redacted the victim's
Because you were
face?
following the congressional law, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You have now established that please put the photos back up, that we are looking at a sex trafficking victim. Under the Federal Victims Trafficking Protection Act, not only is Jeffrey Epstein guilty, but anyone who patronizes Epstein's sex operation is also guilty of a crime. That's why I find it absolutely despicable that you sought to protect Epstein's clients, like former Prince Andrew. Last July, you closed the case on Epstein's abusers. The July 2025 memo from your Department of Justice stated, quote, "We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties." These two photos, please put the photos back up. These two photos staring you in the face are evidence of a crime and more than enough evidence to predicate an investigation against former Prince Andrew. So I ask you, Attorney General Pam Bondi, why did you shut down this investigation last July, and why have you not prosecuted former Prince Andrew?
I don't believe you asked Merrick Garland these questions when he was Attorney General and set before.
I agree with you.
You twice.
I'm reclaiming my time. I agree with you. I agree with you.
Now look at how she keeps deflecting. Okay, him asking Merrick Garland anything has nothing to do with this hearing. This woman is just absolutely being combative and doesn't want to answer anything because she knows the corruption that they have going on behind closed doors.
During the Biden administration, I called for people looking at Epstein files. Merrick Garland dropped the ball, as did Attorney General Bill Barr, as did Alex Acosta, a whole string of failures. But you are in charge. You have the power to change things, to hold these men accountable, and you're doing the opposite. You're protecting them. So I want to move on to another man.
Can I answer
Donald
that,
Trump.
though?
I want to move on to another
Can I answer
question.
your question about protecting?
You answered the question.
You're saying no. I love this.
I want to discuss another man, Donald Trump, who is all over the Epstein files, like former Prince. Here's a video. Like former Prince Andrew, Donald Trump attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein. I want to know, were there any underage girls at that party or at any party that Trump attended with Jeffrey Epstein?
This is so ridiculous, and that they are trying to deflect from all the great things Donald Trump has done. There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that. This has been the most transparent presidency. He's the one that asked that those files.
I'm reclaiming my time. I got your answer. You said there's no evidence.
Trump asked
Chairman, please stop the
to
clock.
sign
Stop the clock.
the legislation This is.
Time,
this is
I'd like to take
ridiculous.
my time.
time belongs to the gentleman from
Time.
California.
Okay. I'm going to put up another document from a witness who called the FBI's National Threat Operations Center because I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence in the Epstein file.
Don't you ever accuse me of a
I
crime.
believe you just lied under oath, and this is on videotape. You said there's no evidence of a crime. I'm showing you, here is a witness statement who called into the FBI's Threat Operations Center. He drove Donald Trump around in a limo. He overheard what Donald Trump said to Jeffrey on his cell phone. He was so angry, he was going to stop the limo and hurt Donald Trump. And he met a girl who said she was raped by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. She later had her head blown off, and officers at the scene said that could not have been suicide. No one at the Department of Justice interviewed this witness. You need to interview this witness immediately. Epstein should rot in hell, so should the men who patronized his operation. And as we sit here today, there are over 1,000 sex trafficking victims, and you have not held a single man accountable. Shame on you. If you had any decency, you would resign right after this hearing concludes.
The gentleman has expired.
May I respond?
Yeah, I don't know how you respond. No one can.
I did not
can
ask a
respond,
question,
but
but
he
ahead,
doesn't
you're
want
allowed
to talk
to.
about
I did
the
not ask a
horrific crime
question.
in California. He does not want to talk
I
about
did not ask a
crime
question.
in his
She
state.
can't
Madam
just
Attorney,
ad-lib
going
stuff. I
after
did not
Donald
ask a
Trump.
question.
Meeting will be in order. The gentleman has yielded back his time.
This woman is a whole mess. Okay, she's a whole mess. Now, let's go to her under redirect. We have two more. Well, I think this is the last clip. Hold on just a moment. We're going to watch this one where she's under redirect, and then we're going to go to what CBS had to say about the whole thing. Then we have to talk about what the world is saying about Trump and the United States. Everybody seems to be talking, and nothing sounds good. Okay, please pay attention.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Bondi, I went over to the department yesterday for a couple of hours to review some of the unredacted materials. And I am looking forward to your detailed explanation for why you have withheld almost half of the documents, which is required by the bill. Now, obviously, there are 3 million documents, so I didn't get through much. But one thing I didn't see was the client list that you said you had on your desk a year ago. I did, however, find a couple of important documents. An 86-page prosecution memo from the Southern District of New York and a draft indictment from Florida against Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirators. For reasons that I cannot understand nor are permitted by the bill, they were still redacted, even for members of Congress. So, Ms. Bondi, will you commit right here to immediately providing those two documents in unredacted form to members of Congress? Not a complicated question.
Well, I guess it is for you because you have a law degree and those are privileged.
Okay, they're not privileged, but we will discuss that later. I also found an email that I have right here from Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell that was unredacted, and it included notes of statements that Donald Trump made about his prior relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, there is no reason for this to be hidden from the American people. There is no privilege, there is no attorney-client privilege, and I see you're checking with your staff, and I can assure you, staff, this is not under attorney-client privilege because it was sent from Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell. Will you commit to publicly providing the unredacted version of this so that the American people can understand the extent of Donald Trump's lies about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein?
You're about as good of a lawyer today as you were when you tried to impeach President Trump in 2016. Have you apologized for that in 2019?
So will you unredact this? Will you
were
unredact
lead
this?
counsel on that. Privileged.
I'm asking you, will you unredact this?
Privileged.
Privileged, of course. I look forward to discussing this more. Now, these are obviously improper redactions.
And let me
to
stop for a
protect-
minute.
I'm
No,
talking.
no.
I'm
If they're
talking.
not privileged,
Quiet.
don't yell at me. If they're not
Mr. Chairman, would you
privileged,
stop the
Even though
clock?
you
This is
use-
on your time. It's not on Mr.
If
Goldberg.
they're not
Even though you
privileged,
used your
if we review
improper
them and they're not-
redactions
you'll like my answer.
to
If we
continue
review
to
them and they're not
protect
privileged,
Time belongs to
we
the
will
member.
be happy to release them.
We'll
after
stop the
review.
clock. We'll stop the clock. Time belongs to the member. Go ahead.
even though you used improper redactions to protect Donald Trump and other predators associated with Jeffrey Epstein, you did the exact opposite thing with the survivors and victims of this scheme. So their identification information was really the only thing required to be redacted, and it was not. And it's clear this was not a mistake. This was not by accident. This was not because you only had 30 days when you really used 75, and that doesn't even include all the hours last March that you were redacting it. But I'll tell you why it's clear it wasn't a mistake. There is an email entitled Epstein Victim List. There are 32 names. One is redacted, 31 are not. So someone looked at it and decided to redact something. And I will tell you that that is clearly intentional to intimidate these survivors and victims. Now, in an interview last week,
How will you tell me that's intentional?
in an interview last week, Deputy Attorney General Todd
You
Blanche
can't go off script.
said that any victim that wants to speak with the department has done so, hopefully. Well, thanks to the incredibly brave people sitting here behind you, we can actually ask them if that's true. Now, would the survivors and victims who are here please stand up one more time? Just by show of hands, how many of you or your loved ones actually have met with the Department of Justice and provided testimony and estimate and evidence? None. And of those of you who have not met, which is everyone, how many of you have reached out either individually or through a lawyer or representative to offer to provide testimony and evidence? All of them. And of those all of you who have reached out, how many of you were denied or ignored by the Department of Justice? All of them. And despite the shameful and despicable efforts by Ms. Bondi and her department to intimidate you, how many of you are still willing to speak to the Department of Justice? All of them. Well, Ms. Bondi, it looks like you have some more witnesses to
Gentleman's time has
talk
expired.
to, and I yield back.
We will go to the good gentleman from North Carolina, Congressman Knott.
Thank
May
you.
I have a moment, Congressman?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Here we go. Here's the photograph. This is why he wanted to repeat everything that had been said previously on Epstein. This is his state, New York. You probably don't even know who this is. Wahid Mohammed from Afghanistan.
Yes, because I'm no longer a prosecutor.
Convicted of assault. Wow, he represents New York. Wow, yet he doesn't care about the illegal aliens convicted of crimes. Assault and homicide. No longer a prosecutor, so he doesn't care about his constituents. Here we go. Arson, El Salvador, Miguel Palacios. Furman, Flores.
This woman is a complete and utter idiot. All she does is gaslight and deflect and has the audacity to accuse someone else of doing just that and then bringing up crime in their state. The crimes in their state has nothing to do with this hearing. Okay, nothing to do with the hearing. Funny, she has so much to say about everything other than the questions being asked. Okay, so Randa Wise says Bondi is to Trump as Ghislaine is to Epstein. Exactly. She absolutely is. Okay, she's covering up for him. She should not be the attorney general. She needs to be impeached immediately, as far as I'm concerned. Randa, thank you for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Now let's go to this report from CBS.
On that fiery House Judiciary hearing with Attorney General Pam Bondi, you're looking at CBS News Justice correspondent Scott McFarlane, who watched the whole thing. Scott, update us on what was accomplished yesterday.
Yeah, Errol, good morning. Not clear anything was accomplished. It was a fiery hearing that really just fanned the flames of this Epstein files controversy, which has already engulfed the Trump administration. The Attorney General acknowledged the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's abuse seated right behind her, wearing white T-shirts in solidarity.
I am deeply sorry for what any victim has been through.
But when lawmakers asked Pam Bondi to apologize for the Department of Justice's handling of the Epstein files, she refused.
Will you turn to them now and apologize for what your Department of Justice has put them through?
I'm not going to get in the gutter for her theatrics.
Democrats and one Republican, Thomas Massey, blasted Bondi because her department mistakenly released the names of some Epstein survivors who wanted to stay anonymous.
Literally the worst thing you could do to the survivors, you did.
While redacting the identities of other people whose names appear in the files.
I want to know, were there any underage girls at that party or at any party that Trump attended with Jeffrey Epstein?
This is so ridiculous, and that they are trying to deflect from all the great things Donald Trump has done.
And question whether the Justice Department has spoken with some top Trump administration officials named in the files.
We have evidence that 3 senior officials within the Trump administration have ties to Jeffrey Epstein.
What does ties mean?
Bondi repeatedly refused to answer most questions from Democrats in a hearing filled with angry exchanges.
I believe you just lied under oath.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
I believe you.
Bondi was also questioned about why Epstein's co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell, was transferred to a low-security prison camp in the days after she sat for an interview with Bondi's deputy last year. Bondi said she was unaware of the transfer and only learned about it after the fact, even though it followed a visit not just by her deputy, Todd Blanche, but was approved by the Bureau of Prisons that Pam Bondi oversees. Errol.
All right, Scott McFarlane in Washington. Thank you.
Okay, so I guess she's just gonna keep on just lying and deflecting. And then it's so interesting how she accuses other people of deflecting right at the same time she's literally deflecting. But here's the thing. Remember the missing minutes of the Epstein footage from when he was in prison? Well, they have a logical explanation for it. Okay, let's get into it. Now, here's what lie, in my opinion, they've come up with. Newly released documents show the FBI's scramble to explain last year why it released a screen recording with a missing minute from the night Jeffrey Epstein died instead of the original footage. Now, the discrepancy fueled conspiracy theories about a cover-up after then FBI Director Dan Bongino promised the agency would release the original surveillance footage from Epstein's Manhattan jail. Okay, saying so, you don't think there are any shenanigans? The FBI has never offered a public explanation of how it ended up releasing a video with a gap in the footage. So last May, as a groundswell built demanding public scrutiny of the Justice Department's records on Epstein, the agency ran into a problem. It had already destroyed its master copy of surveillance video from Epstein's final hours in the Metropolitan Correctional Center. Now, why would they destroy the master copy of surveillance footage? Is this a common practice? Is this something that they normally do? Because I have questions. They say an FBI agent sought and was granted in June of 2024 authorization to destroy an evidence item labeled 1B60. Oh, so apparently this isn't something that's commonplace because it says an FBI agent sought and then was granted permission and authorization to destroy it. Now, why would an FBI agent want to destroy that? Okay, describing it as an exhibit no longer pertinent to the case. Well, even if it were no longer pertinent to the case, why would it need to be destroyed? Just don't use it, right? I mean, wouldn't that make more sense? That looks like the cover-up started already. Now, let me go to this document where the agent put in his request. This is all so crazy. Federal Bureau of Investigation. This is it right here. Okay. Jeffrey Epstein victim death investigation. And then it says authorization granted to destroy item 1B60 as this exhibit is no longer pertinent to the above captioned case. And this was granted on June the 25th of 2024. Okay, that definitely is very suspicious. You know, I have my reasons for at this moment not really thinking that Jeffrey Epstein is even dead any longer, because let's not forget the documents where a witness basically said that they brought Jeffrey Epstein or took him out of there in a wheelchair prior to them stating that he had taken his own life. Now, hold on for a second, because I found some pictures that I thought also were interesting. I saw some pictures and it looked like just Jeffrey Epstein is not even dead. It looks like he's playing possum. I'm going to show you all the footage. Hold on, I'm sending this to my email because I even forgot I had this in my phone. This man looks like he is simply playing possum. You know how someone's trying to pretend that they're asleep and they have their eyes squinched so tightly and that it just gives, like they're just faking. That's exactly what it looks like. Okay, I don't think this man is dead. And with all the connections and all the stuff he knew, they probably did just whisk him off somewhere. Okay, so anyway, let's continue. Now it says that item, according to a document among the Epstein files, was the master recording of tapes containing the archive of Manhattan Correctional Center video images. It had been stored in a Bronx warehouse. Now, in February of 2025, an agent explained in a different document the justification for destroying the video. Oh, this should be good. Saying that as this case was already closed, and they redacted the prosecutor's name, mind you, it concurred on August the 26th of 2024 with agency evidence handling procedures. Authorization was granted to destroy item 1B60. Okay, this is what the agent wrote. Per FBI policy, if an evidence item remains undisposed, the investigative case file must remain open. So basically saying that's the only way, I guess, is he saying that's the only way they can keep the case open? The investigative case file must remain open. Hold on. Per FBI policy, if an evidence item remains undisposed. Okay, so they're basically saying that if they don't dispose of the item, if they keep it, then the case file has to remain open, and they wanted to close it because Epstein was dead after supposedly taking his own life. That's their excuse. Now, but by mid-2025, the Justice Department needed the destroyed evidence reconstructed. Now, here's where it gets juicy. That launched a complicated scramble to rebuild the video files, according to documents included among the millions released so far in what have become known as the Epstein files. Now, they say a high-level overview of the steps taken to do so was compiled in July by an FBI digital forensics and analytics section chief. The effort involved obtaining another copy of the footage that remains stored across two files on a Nice Vision digital video recorder and the system used in the jail. Now, one of the video files started at 7:40 p.m., the other started at 12 a.m. and ended at 6:40 a.m. On May 21st of 2025, an agent used a screen capture tool to re-record the footage from Nice Vision. Now, that's obviously the name of the company. Now, but 62 seconds of footage didn't or couldn't be captured, leaving a gap from 11:58 and 58 seconds to 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. So they say now, soon after the video was released in July, members of the public noticed it jumped from about 11:59 straight to midnight. Rather than explain that the footage had been pieced together from a copy, Attorney General Pam Bondi announced, now listen, this is why you know she's a liar. I want you all to pay attention. She flat out lied because now, or they're lying, somebody's lying about the footage, because now they're saying that the tape had been destroyed. There was a request from an agent. It was destroyed. But then when they realized they needed it, they had to have it reconstructed. See how that makes no sense? Because why would you destroy something when you may need it later? You don't know for a fact. You don't know the future. So it would just be best to keep it in the archives. But so they said they had to reconstruct it. And upon doing so, that's when they weren't able to reconstruct the 58 seconds that is missing. That's their excuse. But here's what Pam Bondi had initially told us when she was asked about it. Okay. She said, she announced that the reason for the gap was that the prison recording system had a nightly reset, resulting in a lost minute every night. See how she lied? But she wants to get upset and tell him, oh, don't you ever accuse me, when he said, I think you just lied under oath. All of these people in Trump's administration are liars, if you ask me. Now, it appears Bondi had accepted a speculative conclusion. Now, here's where they try to save her from the lie that she told. They say it appears Bondi had accepted a speculative conclusion summarized by the section chief that the system reset nightly, losing that minute. So now they blame it on the section chief, basically saying that's the conclusion that he came to and just summarized it or just guessed or assumed. And so she just took that and ran with it because she accepted that speculative conclusion. Okay, it's a theory that appears to have been unverified. So you mean to tell me that the section chief didn't know the policy, didn't know whether or not these tapes are reset once a night, leaving, wait for a second to be lost? Because that's literally what she claims that he said. Okay, that's literally what she said. This happens every night, right? Like this is commonplace. Now, and then they say it's unverified. So how does that make sense? Why would the section chief ever even say that if it was not verified? And why would he even think it if it were not so? How would he not know the rules and policy? Anyway, the video specialist theorized the night vision systems at this time required to write files and caused a real-time delay in what is recorded, resulting in a gap of time not recorded right before midnight, the section chief wrote. Say what? Let me read that again. The video specialist theorized the night vision systems, which is the company, at this time required time to write files and cause a real-time delay in what is recording, in what is recorded, resulting in a gap of time not recorded right before midnight. So they're all telling different stories, because that's not even what she claims the section chief said. He's now saying that when you want to write the files, and that's WRITE, write files, that's what causes the delay. The video specialist was unable to test the accuracy of his theory because he was theorizing that's what happened. But that's not what she said. That's not what they're saying that she speculated. Okay? See, all these different stories, these people are absolutely lying. What really happened to that darn footage? They scrubbed it. That's what happened. That's the minute it likely took for them to get him up out of there. Okay, experts told CBS News in July that the time delay theory was implausible. None of the security system specialists CBS News spoke with had heard of a system that had that issue. The Justice Department has not replied to questions about the video files. Isn't that interesting? An FBI specialist tried to merge the screen recordings using the video editing software Adobe Premiere, but Adobe Premiere did not work with the video file format that the screen capture was created in, according to the section chief. The specialist then used software called Fast Forward Moving Picture Expert Group to convert the file to a format capable to ingest into Adobe Premiere. Now, that stage led to one more apparent discrepancy discovered last year by Wired, which found that one of the source clips was approximately 2 minutes and 53 seconds longer than the segment included in the final video, indicating that footage appears to have been trimmed before it was released. They trimmed it before they even released it? Oh, the shenanigans. Now, they say the Wired analyst was correct. The section chief called it standard practice when doing a screen capture to include padding at the end or to the end, extra recording time that can be pared back. Now, when the screen recording was brought into Adobe Premiere, the padding was trimmed. Now, Wired pointed out that the first video file used in the screen capture was the one with padding. It ended at 11:58 and 11:58, which suggests the two clips would overlap. Okay, they just sound like they're telling a whole bunch of damn lies, okay? They just sound like they're telling a whole bunch of lies. You can't believe anything these idiots say. And it's all a darn shame. It is all a darn shame. But look at this picture right here and tell me if Jeffrey Epstein looks like he's dead or just playing possum. Look at his eyes. Hold on. I hate y'all have to see. Hold on. Let me see if I can put this Hold on, beloveds. Let me see if I can put this on the screen a different way, because the way it looks now, you won't be able to see his entire face. Okay, here we go. Just all of these lies, and then being so disrespectful and getting upset when people are asking her simple questions. And that's how you know it's a whole cover-up. Okay, because why are you lying or stalling and stonewalling if Trump didn't do anything wrong? Now, y'all see that? Look at his face. Does he look like he's dead to you all, or what do you all think? Because I find it interesting. I find it all interesting. He clearly looks like he's just playing possum to me. And then here's the thing. And it looks like on this other picture, hold on, it looks like he's trying to hold them a little bit tighter this time. I'll tell you the truth. Hold on, let me pull this up. Okay, here it is. Look at it. Does he look dead to you all? Look at his eyes right there. Looks like he almost has a smirk on his face right there. Okay, clearly a smirk if you ask me. Looks like he's just holding them closed. I'm sorry, the man doesn't look dead to me. What do y'all think? Does he look dead to you all? Miss AP Prayer said, faker than fake. Barilla said, looks like he's trying not to smirk. Exactly. Okay, the ethylene said he still look red, like he has blood flowing through his veins. White people look pale when they pass away. Yes, doesn't he just look like he's basically just laying there? He doesn't look dead at all, honey. This is all a shenanigan. Okay, at the end of the day. Now, with that all being said, let's go to what they're saying about Trump around the world as well as the rest of us. Because not only do they not trust Trump, now they don't trust anybody. Okay? Some of these countries don't even trust America, period, at this point. Okay, says, I'd rather not say, says the prior administration shoved this whole Epstein junk under the rug. The nerve of these Democrats. Sorry, not sorry. Well, thank you for your insight to the topic, beloved, and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. But here's the thing. I wouldn't say that they swept it under the rug, because what I keep telling people when they ask, why didn't the Biden administration bring up the files, beloveds? Ghislaine Maxwell was on trial. If she's on trial, they can't release files to the public. They can't start putting information out there when she's on trial. Okay, and she was on trial during the Biden administration. That's why. That's why, beloved. And also, as a reminder, Trump is the one that ran his whole campaign on the fact that he was going to release the files. What you should be more concerned about, rather than bringing up Biden, who's not even any longer the president, is why the hell Trump is sitting up here, acting as though he's going to put out the files. And then he does all of this distracting, deflecting, and all of these other stonewalling tactics to keep the files from coming out, telling us we should just move away from it, forget about it, telling us that it's a hoax. How is it a hoax when there's a whole woman in prison? There was another man in prison who supposedly died or disappeared. So how is this a hoax? His name is all throughout the files. He's been accused of a myriad of heinous things. That is more important to me than Biden not releasing the files. Biden never talked about releasing the files. Ghislaine Maxwell was on trial. And there is a way the justice system works and the way laws go. And you can't be releasing certain information. And we all should know that when there's a very important investigation or a trial going on. Okay? Now, had they done so, Ghislaine may have gotten off. She may have gotten a mistrial. Who knows? Now, let's get into this, because they're not saying anything good about the United States, as I told you all. So let's get into it. What they're saying about the U.S. Here we go. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Dangerous said he looks to be dead. Like on Tubi. Okay. Bad acting.
Wouldn't it be more appropriate to go to the US on Patrick's Day to offer condolences to the mayor of Minneapolis because we're seeing ICE killing US citizens on the street and detaining Irish citizens in breach of due process and inhumane conditions? Wouldn't it be more appropriate to go to the US on Patrick's
Now that was Ireland. That was what Ireland's with the lady was talking about. She was from Ireland.
The descent of the United States into fascism, a president who rejects election results, incites insurrection, attacks the judiciary and the media, has an armed militia intimidating minorities, who kidnaps foreign leaders and threatens the sovereignty of others. If Trump smells weakness from the EU, it's because when the US or Israel break international law, we look the other.
He was saying they look the other way. And here's the interesting thing. There's a longer version of that. You know, I couldn't seem to find the longer version. There was another person on TikTok saying they couldn't find the full version. I don't know if they scrubbed it. I don't know what's going on, but we darn sure couldn't find it. Okay, it just cuts off. This is what Germany has to say.
This is in a German newspaper today. This is the cover of Tagesspiegel, one of Germany's top newspapers. And the cover in German says 3 more years with this horrible picture of Trump. But the inside is this, with this photo. And this was all originally in German, but I had it translated into English. In just 1 year of his second presidency, Donald Trump has surpassed the worst fears, and that could only be just the beginning. And then the inside of the article is even more chilling. It talks a lot about what's going on with ICE. And then it says, we have already seen all of this in Germany in 1933. To us, ICE seems like a mixture of SA and Gestapo, and that is very, very scary. And it's not just Germany. We also have this Danish newspaper. Again, this is the original front cover. And then translated to English, the title says, Russia and China are having their best days. And here's the inside. We have a photo from a demonstration this past weekend with these children holding this sign. And then we have a quote pulled from the article that says, if you take the darkest view, Trump is either acting in Russia's interest or is dangerously confused. Germans, Europeans, they're all screaming because they recognize these warning signs. And they lived with the consequences of ignoring them. If you're still supporting this regime, it's not too late to say enough.
Honey, MAGA don't care anything about the right side of history. Okay, MAGA does not care anything about being on the right side of history. Those people are idiots, period. Anybody caping for Trump is a whole idiot, and that's just a fact. And I hope you're brainwashed, because please don't tell me that's how your mind naturally works.
Right now, Prime Minister. In the Gulf of America, once called the Gulf of Mexico.
Ain't make it. What the hell? What the hell? What the hell?
The United States is the laughingstock of the entire world. Somebody asked me to make this video a while ago of just different places around the world and how they react to our mention or what they do to people here when they think about the United States of America. They're all laughing at us. They're all laughing at us. They're all going to laugh at you.
No, they're all going to laugh at you. Okay, so with that all being said, this I am says Queen. I saw a picture of Epstein with a beard and mullet. Don't know if it was real or AI. I saw that too. Looked like he was over in Israel. Honey, I hope it was AI. But I definitely saw it. It looked just like him with long hair. It was ridiculous. Okay, so anyway, let's continue. Now, here's what Iran says. And this is their reaction to threats of an attack from the U.S.
How Iran is reacting to threats of an attack from the United States. If pushed, Iran says it'll defend itself and respond like never before. What that means, we just don't know. But it's interesting that they also say last time the US blundered into wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, it squandered over $7 trillion and lost more than 7,000 American lives, trying to make the argument that it won't just be Iran that suffers if America strikes. America will suffer too. But that is based on the fact that the US will attack Iran in the same way that they did Afghanistan and Iraq. And Donald Trump hasn't suggested that at all. Certainly no talk about ground troops. Again, we just don't know at this point, only that there is a big buildup of US forces in the Middle East at the moment, as Donald Trump calls for Iran to come to the negotiating table to discuss some sort of nuclear deal. The only thing Trump has said most recently is that the next attack will be far worse than the one last year, which targeted Iran's nuclear facilities.
Did y'all hear that? Said it's going to be far worse than the one that targeted their nuclear facilities. Now, here's the thing. They say how Europe is viewing the U.S. right now. Look at this picture that they have of Trump on here. You see this picture of Trump with oil coming out of his nose?
The cover of a magazine in Slovenia. It's talking about the attack on Venezuela. And you can see the clear reference that they're making here. It's pretty obvious. I want to say to those watching, I did not make this. This is how Europe views what's going on here right now. They see it. And I hate to say it, but they're kind of the experts in figuring that out, no? That's also got to be an old picture of him. Here, this is in the UK at a bus stop. No matter how many countries you invade, you'll still be this word. And this word translates to being attracted to young women. I'll put it that way. On a bus stop, right there. There they are. Two little peas in a pod. And those are the two messages going through Europe right now. All of Europe believes that he's a PDF problem. Why are we still in denial? And if anybody gets in here, starts jibber-jabbering in my comments, well, I don't care. Shut up. Shut up. If you want to be a snowflake, because the MAGAs are the true snowflakes of the world, go somewhere else. We're not going to put up with that here. Until you're ready to leave your cult, then you can give me a call and we can work on getting you out of there. But until then, just scroll past, please.
Okay. And they absolutely are a cult. And the sad thing is, this is what the world is saying about Donald Trump. So he thinks that he can sit there and just tell all these lies and tell his stupid fan base, MAGA, okay, that, oh, the files absolved me. I didn't do anything wrong. It doesn't say anything about me in the files. Well, that's all lies and BS. But MAGA's so ignorant that most of them haven't even bothered to look at the files. They're just only listening to what Trump and his ignorant administration are saying. So they don't have an idea of what is true or not true, and they really don't even care, because like I told you all, some of them had on t-shirts saying, I don't care if Trump is a PDF file, which is amazing, because aren't these the same ones that were the letter in the alphabet? Okay, remember those anon theorists? Weren't they the ones saying all of this stuff about the PDF file and the ring and all that stuff, and they wanted justice? But then now they don't want justice because they find out it's Trump, the person they thought, who told them that he was going to drain the swamp. Okay, please pay attention. U.S. President Donald Trump has issued a new warning to Canada. Here we go.
Canada threatening to block the opening of a new bridge linking Windsor and Detroit. So this is the Gordie Howe Bridge. It is set to open this year. The U.S. President Donald Trump now says the U.S. should own at least half of it and be compensated. In a lengthy, there it is, social media post, the U.S. president says he will not allow the bridge to open until, quote, the United States is fully compensated for everything we have given them. And also, Canada treats the United States with the fairness and respect that we deserve. We will start negotiations immediately, end quote. President Trump, by the way, It's claiming Canada built the bridge with no input from the U.S., something Windsor's mayor disagrees with.
And when he's talking about until they start showing the United States the respect they deserve, he's talking about himself. Because when has Canada disrespected the United States? Okay. And also pay attention to how he's shaking down these countries. That's what he's doing. So now they have to give him money. Okay. They need to pay the United States.
Also withdrawn from the Human Rights Council of the United Nations. This makes the world for all Europeans a more dangerous place. I'm not surprised, of course. I mean, we're speaking in the end of a country whose governments have illegally abducted people, tortured them in secret prisons throughout the Middle East, killed children, bombed weddings from Iraq to Afghanistan, a country responsible, according to its own universities, for millions of victims in the Middle East. We're speaking about a government that's actually today, currently pushing, supporting genocide, supporting the deportation of millions of Palestinians, the country blocking the Cuban people from getting the medical equipment they need and deserve, a country imposing sanctions on working class families throughout the world just because they disagree with their government, and a country currently mass deporting working class families from the United States. Now, the question is not, why are the US withdrawing from human rights conventions? The question is, why is Europe not reacting? Do we think this is a good thing? Are we afraid to stand up? Or is this the true face of this union, not fighting for global human rights, but for corporate interests and profits of?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like, because just like that other guy said, you know, they turn a blind eye. They turn a blind eye. Somebody needs to do something. Trump needs to be taken out of office with a quickness. He needs to be in prison.
Like any normal, sane human, I think it's the most outrageous thing in the world.
I don't understand how Donald Trump's getting away with any of this.
Completely shocked. It was like Gestapo Nazi vibe. That's what it's like.
We've got somebody who's acting a little bit like a dictator of the United States.
It's quite simple. I think that they're overstepping in the States. They shouldn't be allowed to keep doing it.
Disgusting what they're doing. It's unbelievably racist. It's dumbfounded in this day and age, and I cannot believe that it's going on in 2026. It's completely backwards.
We go about trying to say we're spreading democracy, and yet here within the country we're using force to oppress people, is the way to say it. So yeah, I think it's absolutely terrible.
I would not set a single foot in the US right now, or probably ever again, if I'm honest with you.
Said she would never set another foot in the United States. Okay, this is what people are saying, and rightfully so.
Will the rest of the world ever forgive us for electing someone like Donald Trump? Japan, not a chance. Trump is just the symptom. From now on, any long-term deal with the United States needs a moron premium in case you elect someone even worse in the future. Netherlands, it's not just Trump. There are 75 million of him that can't be trusted. It will take generations if it is ever restored. France, it's not so much just the election, it's everything that wasn't done to stop him. The United States is lawless. Owie. Remember that the question was, would the world forgive us? Great Britain says, sure, as quick as the rest of the world forgave Germany in 1941. France. US today reminds one of the crumbling empires before the world wars. Arrogant, deaf to the world's anger, convinced of their own invincibility. History doesn't lie. Empires fall, and it's never the outsiders who bring them down first. It's the rot inside. America should stop blaming everyone else and start taking a long, hard look in the mirror.
Well, I can't agree more. Okay, I can't agree more. Now, here's the last video, and then we're out of here. I will be back later. Okay, we're going to talk more about Trump, and we're also going to have a Black History moment. All right, here we go.
Admitted today that the United States government and the DOJ is protecting the pedophile ring and protecting abusers in the Epstein files.
This is so ridiculous, and that they are trying to deflect from all the great things Donald Trump has done. There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that. This has been the most transparent presidency. He's the one that asked.
And living in this clusterfuck of a country that we live in, where everything is ass backwards and seems upside down, You have to wonder how other countries are dealing with their high-profile leaders, politicians, and people that have been found in the Epstein files. In the United Kingdom, long before this recent batch of files was released, it was made known that Prince Andrew, well, formerly Prince Andrew, was close friends with Jeffrey Epstein and has been accused of sexually assaulting numerous women. He lost his princely titles, he lost his honors, and he lost his...
Andrew Mountbatten Windsor moved out of his royal lodge Monday, stripped of his home and royal titles for his association with Jeffrey Epstein and accusations of sexual...
But in addition to that, just this week, Lord Peter Mandelson, the UK ambassador to the United States, resigned due to lying about his connections with Jeffrey Epstein. The UK Prime Minister is most likely to resign for appointing him. He, the UK Prime Minister, apologized to Jeffrey Epstein's victims, and several top aides have resigned due to advocating for the role in his appointment. This is the United States.
I'm going to rule out a pardon for her in her testimony deposition yesterday.
I've discussed with the president recently because frankly it's not a priority. He's focused on many of the issues that the American people are dealing with, and we're moving on from that.
In Slovakia, a national security advisor to the prime minister has resigned due to his ongoing correspondence with Jeffrey Epstein about young girls.
Now, I do believe that man that he just showed that was supposedly having ongoing conversations with Jeffrey Epstein about young girls, I think that's the man I saw in one of those videos in the files. Because I'm thinking, who is this guy? Yeah, I think that's exactly who that was. Okay, Measurement says, good morning to everyone except Pam Bondi. Thank you, beloved. Good morning. Grand rising to you. Okay, and I appreciate your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings.
As you know, it is not a crime to party with Mr. Epstein. And so as horrible as it's not a crime to email with Mr. Epstein, but it's also the kind of thing that the American people need to understand, that it isn't a crime to party with Mr. Epstein.
Mona Jewell has resigned, who served as Norway's ambassador to the UN, because it was discovered that Jeffrey Epstein left both of her kids $10 million in his will.
Look, the whole thing is a hoax. It's put out by the Democrats because we've had the most successful 6 months in the history of our country.
Sweden, Joanna Rubinstein, who was a former chair at the United Nations, has resigned on February 2nd due to her family visiting Jeffrey Epstein's island 4 years after he was found guilty and convicted. Once again, this is America.
No one in Congress is blocking Epstein documents. No one in Congress is doing that. What we're doing here, Republicans are preventing Democrats from making a mockery of the Rules Committee process.
So you have a country where our president is confirmed to have been besties with Epstein, has been confirmed to have allegations of sexual assault against him, has been confirmed that his name has been redacted over 1 million times in the Epstein files. The Epstein files that have some of the most grotesque, gruesome, and evil acts of sexual assault and pedophilia in them, yet no one in this country has been held accountable. No one has resigned, no one is arrested, no one is convicted. Our government is saying it's a hoax, and our government is trying to convince the American people that the Epstein files don't exist, that the list doesn't exist, that no crimes have been committed. This is why it is very dangerous when the rule of law and due process go out the window, when we're entering into a fashion totalitarian state where we can just lie and do whatever we want. Pam Bondi just straight up lied today. And it is not your fault if you feel crazy in this country because the things that are supposed to be happening are not happening. We are reading these files and everyone should be fucking thrown under the jail, but they're not. But they're not.
Okay, not one single lie detected. They all should be thrown under the jail. And they also should be tried for treason, as far as I'm concerned, specifically Pam Bondi and Trump. Okay? They absolutely should. Now, hopefully, they'll lose the midterms as is projected. All right? And then they can start the impeachment process on Trump, Bondi, okay, and the rest of the devils. At least that's what I hope happens. All right? Miss MP Prayer says, vengeance belongs to God. Exactly. This is definitely the definition of white privilege. Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. And this is the biggest cover up in United States history, as far as I'm concerned. And here's the thing. If there were more Black people in the Epstein files accused of doing nefarious things other than just Judge Clarence Thomas, if this were full of Black people, if Epstein were a Black man, okay, all of those people would have been arrested by now, and we know it. Okay, all of those people accused of anything nefarious, and here's the thing I want you all to pay attention to. There's video footage, okay, that shows some of these people's faces. Pam Bondi has seen these people's faces, but she wants us to think that she doesn't know of any co-conspirators, anyone who did anything nefarious, because allegedly, as I said, they have seen these people's faces on the videos. They didn't release all of the video footage, okay, and the ones they did release are redacted, and for good reason. But what I'm saying is, some of the co-conspirators are in those videos, okay? So the DOJ has seen those people's faces. So for them to sit there and try to run a whole con game on us and say that there's no reason for anyone else to be investigated or arrested, like they don't have any evidence of anybody doing anything nefarious. You didn't see anybody's face in those pictures with those girls that the rest of us haven't seen. You don't have anyone's face shown in videos. Of course they do. Of course they do. This is disgusting, okay? This is 10 times worse than Watergate. Anyway, with that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. I love you all to life. I will see you all back again later on this evening about 7 o'clock. So make sure you double check to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. Please like and share. And until next time, beloveds, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember to keep the Most High first in your lives. Peace.
With that gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece. This time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done.